Hi viewers, as a part of exam preparation, this video discuss about a medical nursing question paper from Kerala University of Health Science, October 2019. As usual, the part 1 video includes long essay and short essay questions. We'll move on to the video. Answer all the questions and draw diagrams when necessary. The long essay carries 12 marks. That's the first question. That is, Mr. M, 54-year-old, diagnosed as hepatic coma, is admitted in the ward. And answer the following. That is, enumerate pathophysiological changes in hepatic coma, carries 3 marks. Enlist the clinical features of hepatic coma for 3 marks. And write medical and nursing management of Mr. M with hepatic coma, carries 6 marks. So whenever they ask nursing management in long essay or short essay questions, it is better to write it or format as a nursing care plan. So you have to write the introduction. If they have given any of the patient's information given in the question paper, you have to write the introduction. So Mr. M, 54, old, diagnosed as hepatic coma, is admitted in the ward. So what, always start with the definition. Whether they ask or not, it is better to put the definition at least for few 2-3 lines as the introduction. So definition of hepatic encephalopathy: it is a life-threatening complication of liver disease, occurs with profound liver failure, result in accumulation of ammonia and other toxic metabolites. So accumulation of ammonia causing a encephalopathy, which is a life-threatening disease. Hepatic coma represents the most advanced stage of hepatic encephalopathy. So the encephalopathy's end stage will be an hepatic coma and death. So they have asked the first part as pathophysiological changes. So the pathophysiology in hepatic encephalopathy is any kind of etiological factors like liver disease, whether it is unknown or disturbed ammonia metabolism. Any of these factors leads to damaged liver cells. So when the liver cells damage, failure of converting ammonia into urea and detoxification decreases. So once the liver cells are damaged, the ammonia accumulation increases in our blood, so raising the blood level of ammonia. So once the blood level increases, this ammonia may enter into the brain, which breaks the blood-brain barrier. So once it enters into the brain, it will start damaging the brain tissues, causing neurological signs, which we say it as hepatic encephalopathy. If the hepatic encephalopathy is not treated, the patient may end up in severe increased ammonia settles in the brain, causing hepatic coma and eventually to death. So this is the pathophysiological changes happens in the hepatic encephalopathy. Any kind of etiological factors where the disturbed ammonia process occurs that may damage the liver cells. So any factors which affects the liver will increases the ammonia accumulation in the blood, which enters into the blood-brain barrier into the brain, causing damage to the brain tissue, which ends up in hepatic encephalopathy. If not treated, it ends up in hepatic coma and death. What are the clinical features? Clinical features have been discussed in stage-wise. That is, the hepatic encephalopathy slowly deteriorates to hepatic coma. It comes in stage-wise. So that is stage 1. Patient will show mild confusion, agitation, irritability, sleep disturbance, decreased attention span. So that is the stage 1. And stage 2, what happens there? Neurological status again worsens, causing lethargy, disorientation, inappropriate behavior and drowsiness. So in the stage 3, mostly they go for to sleep, which is called somnolent but arousable sleep, slurred speech, confusion and aggressiveness. So these are all the signs and symptoms seen in the stage 3, and in stage 4 the patient goes to coma. So the neurological deterioration happens stage by stage, which worsens to a coma. What is the medical management? Generally, we should hospitalize the patient and monitor their airway, breathing and circulation. Avoid and prevent precipitating factors. It increases the ammonia, like diet restriction, where if the patient eats protein, it may end up in the ammonia wastage, so it increases the ammonia content in the blood. So avoid and prevent precipitating factors, restriction of animal protein and reduce protein intake. Nasogastric tube intubation and bladder catheterization should be done, because we need to monitor their intake output very strictly, and as the patient is in confused state, it is better not to give anything orally. IV dextrose and saline, and correct the electrolyte balance if it is disturbed. The pharmacological management, our main aim of treating this hepatic encephalopathy is decreasing the ammonia content in the blood. So this happens by giving lactulose 10 to 30 ml 4 to 6 times daily, because ammonia is excreted through the stool. So by increasing the stool formation, we can reduce the ammonia in the blood. So what we need to do is lactulose you can give like 10 to 30 ml 4 to 6 times daily, or you can give it like an enema form, like 300 ml lactulose and 700 ml of saline. You have to keep the retention enema for 30 to 60 minutes, and this is done like 4 to 6 hours. Repeat it to reduce the ammonia. There is antibiotic rifaximin, which helps in treating this hepatic encephalopathy. Broad spectrum antibiotic 550 mg BD can be given. So to stimulate metabolism of ammonia, zinc sulfate 600 mg is divided doses given, or sodium benzoate 5 gram BD should be given. So our main aim here is to reduce the metabolism of ammonia and excrete the ammonia from the body. Nursing management, we always start with nursing assessment. So especially in long essay and short essays, it's better to start with nursing assessment. So in assessment, you have to include history and physical examination. In history, you should look for any chronic liver diseases, or if the patient is at risk of liver diseases. And physical examination, assess the changes of intellect, personality, emotion, like neurological status you have to assess. Severe apathy, inability to concentrate, confusion, disorientation and drowsiness. All the stages of symptoms of hepatic encephalopathy should be assessed in physical examination. Slurring of speech, bilateral extensor plantar response, that is happens because of the patient going into a hepatic coma, paraplegia, dementia. So you have to look for the ABG and electrolyte level also. So these are all the things, all the clinical signs and symptoms you can assess in the physical examination. So history and physical examination should be included in assessment part, and you have to explain each diagnosis, at least prioritize the 3 diagnoses. If you give it with intervention, it will be of your scoring benefit. So ineffective breathing pattern related to hypoxia, patient goes into a comatose state where they may have ineffective breathing pattern. Deficient fluid volume related to bleeding, decreased intake and ascites. So any of these things may cause deficient fluid volume. Here actually decreased intake and ascites can be the evidence. Imbalanced nutrition, less than body requirement related to GI adverse effects, activity intolerance, self-care deficit, impaired tissue integrity, disturbed sleeping pattern, impaired verbal communication. So all these things comes as a non-prioritized. The first prioritized is ineffective breathing pattern, imbalanced nutrition status, and you can add activity intolerance. And you should explain the nursing interventions for this first prioritized nursing diagnosis. The next is short essay. Short essay, each one carries 7 marks. We have 2 short essay questions, total of 14 marks. So the second question is classify leukemia and explain the clinical features of leukemia. So classification carries 4 marks and features of clinical features carries 3 marks. So as I said, we have to start with the definition. The word leukemia comes from a Greek word called white, which means emia means blood. So leukos means white. So white blood. That is the meaning of leukemia. What is the definition? It's a group of malignant disorder affecting the blood and blood forming tissue of bone marrow, lymph system and spleen. So it's a malignant disorders which affects the blood and the bone marrow. So classification of leukemia carries 4 marks. You should remember that according to the mark you should write the content. So the classification is of 2 types. One is acute and chronic. Acute leukemia gets worse very fast and feel sick right away. So acute always happens all of a sudden and very quick. Chronic leukemia gets worse slowly and may not cause symptoms for years. Chronic will stay for longer time and it's a slow progression of disease. And this leukemia is again classified as lymphoid and myeloid. The leukemias are also subdivided into as per the affected blood cells. So if the cancerous transformation occurs in the type of marrow, that is lymphocytes, then they say it is lymphoid leukemia or lymphocytic leukemia. And if the cancerous changes happens in the myeloid tissues, then it is called myelogenous leukemia or myeloid leukemia. So leukemia is of 4 types, that is acute or chronic or lymphoid or myeloid. According to this, again this leukemia is classified as acute myeloid leukemia, acute lymphoblastic leukemia, and chronic myeloid leukemia and chronic lymphocytic leukemia. Okay, so the classification you have to explain each one if possible, that is better. The next is clinical features. The common symptoms of leukemia are systemic in signs and symptoms like weight loss, fever, frequent infections, and the psychologically patient will have fatigue and loss of appetite, and in the respiratory shortness of breath, and the lymph node swelling as like any kind of cancerous growth, lymph nodes will be swollen, spleen and liver enlargement is seen, total muscle weakness is present, patient will have complaints of pain and tenderness in the joints and bones, and in the skin the patient will report night sweats, easy bleeding and bruising, purplish patches or spots. So all these bleeding spots are because of thrombocytopenia, that is decreased platelet counts, and as the patient has decreased lymphocytes and neutrophils, the patient is the patient has risk of lot of infections because they have decreased lymphocytes and neutrophils. And other than this, rest of the general symptoms also the patient will show. So what is the next short essay question is discuss the cause, clinical features and management of patients with Addison's disease. So they have asked cause, clinical features and management of Addison's disease. So what is Addison's disease? It's called adrenal insufficiency, which is an uncommon disorder that occurs when body does not produce enough of certain hormones. So it is an autoimmune disease where the adrenal gland produce too little cortisol or often no cortisol and aldosterone. So Addison's disease happens because of adrenal insufficiency and it is an autoimmune disorder. So primary causes of Addison's disease is prolonged administration of glucocorticoids like prednisolone. If the patient is taking prednisolone for a longer run, sometimes they may have Addison's. Infection in the body may trigger the autoimmune disease. Cancer and abnormal growths, any kind of cancerous growth may trigger the Addison's disease. Certain blood thinners like any kind of anticoagulants may also trigger the Addison's disease. As it is an autoimmune, it may be triggered by any kind of infection, cancerous or tumor growths, certain medications, and of course prolonged use of prednisolone. Secondary causes may be the patient may get this Addison's disease due to tumor, medications, genetics, traumatic brain injury, tuberculosis, and AIDS patients also has a secondary Addison's disease. What are the clinical features? The patient will have extreme fatigue because you don't have cortisol. Cortisol is very, very important for our daily activities. So patient will have extreme fatigue, weight loss, decreased appetite. Patient will have hyperpigmentation. They say it is bronze pigmentation of skin, and hypoglycemia, low blood sugar, even fainting may happen. They will have salt craving because patient will have hyponatremia and hypoglycemia. So patient will have, because of hyponatremia, they will have salt craving, nausea, diarrhea or vomiting, abdominal pain, muscle or joint pains, irritability, depression, because cortisol always keeps our moods up. So depression or other behavioral symptoms also seen in the Addison's clinical features. Body hair loss or sexual dysfunction in women also seen. So from this picture you can see most of the things like generalized weakness, weight loss, GI disturbances, includes nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, body pain, bronze pigmentation of the skin, hair loss is seen, or disturbances in the distribution of hair, and hypoglycemia, hyponatremia causing salt craving, everything will be seen. What is the management? Medical management, usually it is replacement therapy, because the patient has too little cortisol. We need to administer them hydrocortisone pills. This hydrocortisone is a corticosteroids. Hydrocortisone is given, and if the patient is lacking aldosterone, then fludrocortisone acetate pills will be provided. If the patient taking fludrocortisone, need to increase the salt intake, because if they are taking aldosterone, then they have to increase their salt intake. So emergency surgery can be done according to the cause of the Addison's disease. So what is the nursing diagnosis? Deficient fluid volume related to hypovolemia, ineffective tissue perfusion related to peripherally related to dehydration, anxiety, disturbed body image due to the skin pigmentation, and of course you can add imbalanced nutritional status because of the salt craving and hypoglycemia, all these effects. And electrolyte imbalance you can write if the patient has hyponatremia. So we have discussed long essay and two short essay questions. In the next part 2 video, we will discuss about the short notes. Thank you.